Uncensored version available on Patreon. Hey guys, Eden here. In the world of ecchi anime, there exists a lot of tropes. Walking in on girls changing, walking into the wrong hot springs, accidentally falling and grabbing a boob. Ecchi anime runs the habit of being pretty formulaic, and that really isn't inherently a bad thing, but sometimes it can get a little tiring. If you're a subscriber of this channel, then you would know I have reviewed quite a few ecchi anime in my content creation career. I find them to be stupidly enjoyable and even funner to talk about, but as I've seen quite a few, I really wanted to go out of my way this time to talk about something a little bit different. Something, I don't know, a little mysterious, I guess you could say. And the subject of today's video is, well, exactly that. Before we get into the video, however, I would appreciate it if you leave the like to help with the algorithm, and commented another anime or manga that you would like for me to check out. Hey, it only takes a few seconds, and it helps quite a bit. Mysterious Girlfriend X is one of those anime I look at, and from the outside, it doesn't look necessarily good or necessarily bad. It really looks like something that could go either way. But as I am already incredibly attracted to Crazy Woman in real life, the idea of watching something where the cover features a girl with messy hair and scissors makes me feel like I'm gonna dive deeper and deeper into fetishes I really do not want to have. And that initial fear I felt when it came to actually pressing space on my keyboard to start watching this anime was very well warranted, because this anime contains some of the weirdest sexual degeneracy I have ever laid privy to. Not that it's explicitly sexual, because it rarely ever is. In fact, it's quite conservative for the most part. I mean, look at these skirts. They almost reach their knees. That's really low for anime standards. But I mean, this shit is just really weird. Like, really. I have watched a lot of anime. My roommate Core, who I also watched this with, has watched a lot of anime, and we were still both screaming at the top of our lungs while watching this anime, because episode after episode contained copious amounts of traumatic fetish material that we really just weren't ready for. But in order to explain just how weird this anime is, boys, we're gonna have to start all the way at episode 1. So get your popcorn PNG pulled up in one tab, and maybe some Beppies in the other, and listen to what I have to say. Mysterious Girlfriend X in its most simplest form is an anime following the relationship of Urabe Mikoto and Tsubaki Akira. While watching the first episode, the unsettling music and unsaturated color palette gives a little bit of a hint of the abnormalities that are soon to come, but for the most part, it really doesn't start off all that alarming. We start off with our seemingly generic male protagonist waking up out of bed. He rushes to school, has that one friend with glasses, and then the teacher introduces the new Tenkosei transfer student that just so happens to be the titular main character love interest. Oh my god. Yeah, I've seen this anime like 20 times already, and you probably have too. But it really doesn't take more than a few minutes for the unique characteristics of Urabe Mikoto to take center stage and immediately add an unordinary sense of intrigue to the anime. She sleeps through lunch, has really uninviting bangs, is antisocial, and starts laughing like the fucking Joker out of nowhere. Like, I don't know, man. If I was in this class, personally, I would not come to school tomorrow, but I guess that's just me.
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
She kind of falls asleep during class like an idiot, and our main character runs into her after school and wakes her up. She leaves, and then he licks her drool that's left over on the table, which is like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you, bro? That is just really weird. After licking her drool, he gets sick, and it turns out her drool now kind of works like an antidote for his illness. So they form a routine of walking home together so she can continue to give him her drool, which eventually leads to the formation of their relationship. All of this initially feels really superficial and odd, as if it's trying to be quirky and different for the sole purpose of being quirky and different. I mean, the long bangs, the spit, the erratic behavior. But what makes this anime, and Urabe Mikoto as a character, so superb in my opinion, is how it uses these stranger elements as devices for the plot. We'll get into that later, but first I want to talk about this fucking slut. Now look, I'm no misogynist. We respect women here at the KorewaEden YouTube channel. But when it comes to this girl right here, you know, I might be open to new ideas, including offensive ones. Might start giving away some baseball bats. Most people will watch this anime for the mysterious girlfriend and come out of it only remembering the mysterious girlfriend. But before we get into any of that, I need to highlight one of these side characters in particular.
director who made the anime a lot better. My bi queen, Oka Ayuko. Now, we're initially introduced to this character because she's the main character's best friend's girlfriend, right? You know what I mean, right? You're following along, right? Ayuko ends up being infinitely more important than Akida's friend, mainly because she becomes best friends with Urabe and really wants to fuck her. The unreciprocated sexual tension between the two of them, oh baby, it's got me sweating in here like I'm in a sauna. Not as much as the ending song, of course, because, well, the ending song, what was I talking about again? Aside from these 4 characters, there's one more that's truly important to the anime, but she's kind of fucking batshit crazy insane and a really terrible person under every stretch of the imagination. Now, with the exchanging of bodily fluids, lesbian anime girls, and school shooter vibes being pervasive in this review so far, you may be wondering what the appeal of this anime even is. And I know what I'm about to say is probably going to absolutely blow a lot of your guys' minds, but the appeal of this anime is the mysterious girlfriend. I know. And to explain this, we're gonna have to go into who this anime woman is, her relationship with the main character, and talk about some imagery, analysis, and well, to be completely honest with you, this is probably going to be the most intellectual KorewaEden video you will ever watch. So before I run the risk of sounding too smart for my own good, here's a funny meme. Huh? Alright. Urabe Mikoto is kind of a hard character to put your finger on for a multitude of reasons. One, she will cut you if you try to touch her without permission, as seen many times throughout the anime, but also the anime purposefully obscures her expressions, emotions, and opinions in order to make her seem more mysterious. Something that is realized over the course of the earlier episodes in the anime is that she isn't very capable of expressing her opinions when it comes to the advancement of their relationship. When Tsubaki notices his friend kissing his girlfriend, he gets a little jealous, and that makes him think about kissing Urabe. However, for reasons unclear, Urabe isn't really open to the idea, and it's for reasons initially unclear. In fact, she seems entirely uninterested in other people's relationships entirely. Most ecchi anime have a habit of just throwing everything at you constantly without regard for making the characters feel or act like real people, but Mysterious Girlfriend takes so much of a more subtle approach in making you feel one with Tsubaki and wanting to continue turning pages so that you can slowly continue to understand this weird girl, even if it's just bit by bit. In episode 3, when Tsubaki brings up the idea of kissing, Urabe gives him a test tube of her spit. Delicious. Which, in addition to stopping Tsubaki from being sick, also contains the power to transfer physical wounds and even emotions through these super cool dream sequences. I really can't put into words how hypnotizing these cuts of the anime are. Like, I mean, this is 2012, and this is some of the best 2D, 3D mixed animation I have ever seen air on TV. It really can't go understated. The heavy woodwind instrumentation does wonders here, but it's very appreciated throughout the entirety of the anime. It's definitely one of the many things that make this anime feel so unique compared to others in the same category. Look, I can talk for like 7 hours about how much I want to have sex with some guy named Ayumu Watanabe, but I think you probably get it by now. The point is, in the dream sequence he has after drinking from the test tube, he gets his kiss with Urabe and realizes how disappointing it is to share a kiss with someone prior to forming a connection where you truly understand each other's emotions. The entire dream sequence, however, is kind of a sham. It's not real. It's not necessarily what his brain is conjuring on his own, because in reality, it's just the way Urabe felt when she spit into the test tube. So without ever needing to see the expression on her face, without ever needing to be given a direct answer from her, Tsubaki is capable of understanding exactly how she feels and is able to then move forward in the relationship accordingly.
通じ合った時にしたいと思う。
椿くん、私もそう思うわ。
かわいい。
And ain't that shit kind of fucking poetic? Like, I mean, oh, sheesh. Definitely not as good as Forest Fairy 5, however, because that anime is clearly the goat. I mean, nothing can even compare to that. Remember when I said that the spit and bangs weren't just there for a sense of superficial mystique? This is kind of what I meant, for the most part at least. The narrative of the anime uses both of these physical characteristics of Urabe's character to directly affect things that happen in the plot, while concealing her emotions when convenient for the narrative. And that's kind of fucking cool. I mean, I
think so personally. In my mind, I kind of like to contrast this with the typical kudere character trope. She seems expressionless just like a kudere, but no, she just needs a fucking haircut, I guess. But now that you have a bit of an understanding on how their relationship works and why it's the creative crux of this anime, I want to shift the focus of the video to an episode that I think kind of embodies that weird energy, but dials it up to 100. In episode 8, Tsubaki has a dream, the American dream if you will, where he grabs Urabe's boobs, and as a man with similar primal urges, I can relate to the strain this can have on the human mind. He spends the entire day just trying to do random shit to get his mind off of the boobs, and very conveniently runs into Urabe right in front of her apartment complex that he did not know she lived at. And very conveniently, no one seems to be home aside from her, and very conveniently, it has now begun raining, so he can't possibly walk home. And at this point, the heat is on, baby. Tsubaki begins overthinking everything. It's just like talking to real women. Oh my god, is my hair okay? Is it weird that I'm looking her in the eyes too much? Wait, no, it's also weird when I don't look her in the eyes enough. Is my fly down? If I were to check right now, she'd probably think I'm readjusting my boner. What am I supposed to be doing with my hands? Why do I have hands? Lightning crashes and she falls into his arms. And in that moment, he goes for the boob. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big step for mankind. And as previously stated, Urabe doesn't really like being touched without permission, so she reacts accordingly. But after a conversation that two people in a relationship should have, she recognizes his animalistic, disgusting male urges and basically says, yeah bro, you can touch my tits. And he does, and then he goes a little too far, licking her ear, which is kind of weird.
What's going on with you? What are you talking about? You sound insane.
She begins to tear up and he apologizes and runs out of the room like a fucking pussy, leaving his beautiful breasted maiden alone in the dark. Some other stuff happens, but the point is at the end of the episode when beginning to walk home together, he insistently apologizes once more. And even though Urabe insists she's not upset about what happened, Tsubaki asks to be slapped for what he did. And she slaps the shit out of him. I mean, the sound waves were sent across the world. The point is, it turns out that when he licked her ear, his saliva had some sort of biological effect on her that makes her ears more sensitive and causes her to tear up out of her left eye. She insists she doesn't mind the feeling and that in fact she actually likes it. She then takes her finger, puts it in his mouth, and drinks his saliva so that she can feel the pain that he felt. Tsubaki hits her with some romantic lines like boom, and she quickly gives him some of her spit and runs off in an uncharacteristically flustered fashion. And I feel like just explaining all of that shit is a fucking lot, and that's what I'm really trying to point out here. This is like the onion of ecchi romance anime because this shit has layers. Saliva, the ability to alter her physiological senses, the transferring of pain and emotions. These are all elements that are unique to Mysterious Girlfriend X, and it makes sure to use them to their most. It's not just a funny gimmick that they can put in the first volume and then forget about and never mention later on. It's a core and recurring part of the series, and that's just good writing that I cannot help but appreciate. Look, overall, Mysterious Girlfriend just tells a tale of an incredibly unique relationship, and while others may have found the climax of the series to be a little bit flaccid, as it's just a hug, I personally found it to be incredibly rewarding and a really good self-contained story. If I were to tell you at the beginning of the video that the climax of this ecchi anime is just a hug, well then you'd probably walk out on the end. But within the context of their specific relationship, how initially adverse Urabe is to expressing herself and being touched in general, the fact that Tsubaki is able to hug her feels like a million miles of progress. And I think that the relationship, while incredibly stupid and unrealistic in many ways, it's still simultaneously one of the most authentic relationships I've ever seen in anime. Also, I went the entire video without saying Mysterious Girlfriend Sex, so I think you should give me your money. Thank you, patrons!